Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life. Wherever you are today and however you are listening today, call me Mr.Yu, the podcast. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check. Yes, we are, before you change the world, baby. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, the Twitter. Thank you for downloading, subscribing to the Call Me Mr. Yu, the podcast, and at Football Talk with Bo. Thank you again for joining us. How's it going, brother? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Not too shabby. It's been a wild week and a half. Oh my goodness! But guess what? We're here. We're ready to have some fun and talk a little sports and life and get into it. How was your weekend, man?
It was good. It was good. It was a lot of running around, but still reconnecting with friends since we've recently moved back to Seattle. So it's been a track meet to try and see everybody since we've been gone for almost 2 years. So
wow,
it's a lot of running around.
A lot of catching up to do, man. It's gonna be a minute.
Oh yeah.
How's the vibe out there when it comes to the Hawks? Tell me that real quick about everybody excited out there. They kind of
oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of optimism. A lot of optimism about the Seahawk team coming up. So yeah, people are excited to see football back. Yeah, and of course, obviously, I am because I'm actually back here. So it's always a different vibe. It was fun to watch it down there, but you don't get the craziness of the fan base that you do here.
Right. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit, especially with some things I've been hearing. I guess we can call it anti-football sentiment. I want to talk about that a little bit, but real quick, let me give me your takes on the Hall of Fame game. I know that during this time of year we're starved for football, right?
Yeah,
and being starved makes you do hungry things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it was
watching 4 quarters of the Hall of Fame game, which is what I actually did. I do a couple of spots where I had to go to the bathroom and step away and that kind of stuff. I was still feeling sick at the time anyway. So, but I essentially watched 4 quarters of this thing. I haven't done that. I can't recall if I ever done that. But I watched about 4 quarters of this game for the first time in my entire life. Why did I do that?
I mean, you didn't need to. You didn't need to. That game was not the most skilled game.
So no takeaways at all, man, from the Hall of Fame?
The main takeaway is neither team better play like that again.
Nah, Bo, come on. You got more insights than just that. I think Zach Wilson. I saw some good things. I know people are not going to make a big thing about it. It's a Hall of Fame game. It's exhibition at its best for the most part. Exhibition with some pomp and circumstance because of the Hall of Fame and everything. But I think I saw a lot of Zach Wilson's career up to now, and there's definitely a difference in what I saw during that game. I know it's just an exhibition.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal, but I saw some positives. I think Aaron Rodgers being in camp with him is helping him in some way. Do you see that?
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. Like he had a couple of throws in there that you were like, oh, okay, this, he can still like move the ball around the field. I do think Aaron Rodgers in the building is helpful because this is a different Aaron Rodgers than what Love got to deal with. So, this one is an Aaron Rodgers that almost seems like he's accepted that 2-3 years and he's done, right? And they've given him the keys, so it's his team. So he's not looking over his shoulder at somebody that's trying to take his job. He's actually, kind of revitalized a little bit, went to OTAs, is actually hanging out with teammates, stuff like that. So that puts him in
the same person.
No, exactly, right? Like this is a totally different Aaron Rodgers. And so that makes him mentally in a better spot to actually kind of mentor Wilson, where he didn't seem to have done any of that for Love. So yeah, I mean, I think he's going to get to learn quite a bit, and realistically could save Wilson's career, because what we did see on tape and really could have put him out of the league.
I thought it was.
Yeah, well, especially when he's like, I couldn't have done anything better, in his press conference last year. It's like, oh, cool. Not only is he not playing well, but then he's kind of a douche about it too. It's like, oh man, that's not a good combination.
No, I think he need to buy Rodgers some birthday gifts when the
Right?
time comes. I think he was out of the league if it had not been for him being there, being a steady influence in his life, and showing him, maybe even showed him how to quarterback
Yeah,
on this level. You know what I'm saying? So this, if I was him, I'd be at his house on a cot. I'm going to learn everything I can possibly learn because this is it right here.
Yep.
These guys are getting many chances. I mean, tell you the truth, if Jordan Love doesn't do what people think he's going to do, if he doesn't make adjustments here and there, he could be in the same place, out.
For sure. Absolutely.
Also, with a headset like mine's on the sidelines forever. You know, I mean,
yeah,
it's definitely a possibility. I've been hearing so much about the anti-football sentiment. I'm kind of surprised by it a little bit, but then I'm not surprised. I think once it started making the I wouldn't call it a rule, but I guess they made some decisions about sports betting and sports gambling. You know, you got big business interest in weeds in there as well. It's been a growing anti-football sentiment, at least on my page. I don't know if you've been seeing it on your Twitter page, but a lot of people talking about how, you know, they're not really excited about football. I mean, I had to have been excited about it to watch 4 quarters of that game, the Hall of Fame. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I saw things that reminded me why I love football. Just to be honest about it, because I did miss it.
Yep.
I tried to fill the spaces with XFL and USFL, and it just didn't. It didn't hit the spot. Like being really hungry and somebody give you cheese and crackers. It's like it's. I'm getting some food, but it's not.
Yep.
It's not steak and potatoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it was. I tried, but it just didn't work out. So I watched that game partly because of that. But there's been a lot of anti-football sentiment. I don't know if people think that now the games are less pure because now maybe perhaps sports betting and gambling could potentially sully the outcome of the game. I don't know what it is. I mean, you've been hearing that
gambling though.
Yeah, I know, but to some people, it feels different to some people, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for them to be such a huge sponsor, right? Because at this point, the main sponsors of the NFL is, you know, FanDuel and Sportsbook and Caesars and, you know, all these guys, DraftKings. So, I mean, it does take away from it. Obviously, you know, guys getting suspended doesn't help. You know, because it kind of feeds into that. They're like, oh, what did you expect to happen? It's like, no, I mean,
yeah, it happened.
You expect them to not be down. What's that?
I thought like 6 suspensions.
I think there's 10 now. I think there's 10 now. 5 of them have been released from their teams, and of the 10, I think only 3 of them were of the 6-game variety. 3 or 4 of them. That means the rest of them were actually betting on the NFL, which if that's the case, then, I mean, I get the year-long suspension for that because that potentially can change the outcome of a game, right? Depending on what they're betting. They could start stat padding or, you know, throwing a game or whatever. So, I mean, like there's things like if you were betting on your own sport, I actually get the suspension there. But if you're getting suspended for 6 games just solely because you happen to make the bet in the parking lot of the facility, that's insane to me.
Yeah, I hadn't actually intended to talk about some of those suspensions and everything. I don't know what happened. I think I lost all of my notes. It's been a very, very weird several days. But yeah, I mean, I'm hearing that so much about. And I'm not hearing anti-tennis sentiment. I'm not hearing anti-golf sentiment. I'm not even hearing anti-basketball sentiment, really. I'm hearing anti-baseball just because people are just tired of certain things that's been going on for a while, or their team is just really, really horrible. But I think football is taking a brunt of it for some reason. I don't know if it's like you said, sports books and things of that nature. Just better to enjoy. So I don't know what it is, but
I think the thing for football is, you know, there's people that are our age group and older that remember the hard hitting, like super aggressive football, right? And so you're seeing some of the game kind of get taken away a little bit with all of the like kickoff changes and stuff. I mean, there's elements of the game that you like to watch that are kind of sort of phasing themselves out. And then a lot of the younger generation weirdly just don't watch sports a ton. So it's not necessarily that it's only football losing viewership. It's sports kind of in general. So you're kind of seeing a dip in ratings in younger demos, just in sports across the board. So I don't know that it's necessarily anything just directed at the NFL. It just happens to be that, they watch less sports.
Yeah, I think most of the sentiment I'm talking about is coming from folks probably in the general range of, excuse me, maybe 40 years and up.
Yeah,
that's kind of the age range that I'm hearing. I mean, there's definitely some concerns about, I think I understand a little bit more about why. I think it goes a little bit beyond sports betting and booking and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a little bit further than that. I did crunch some numbers and look at some stats and read some stuff while I was in the bed, immobile for the most part. But I'm even more concerned about safety, like you said. I think the Damar Hamlin story played a big part in highlighting some of that stuff. Matter of fact, even when LeBron's son had a situation that was, to me, eerily similar to what Damar Hamlin was dealing with, I'm like, wow, these are two very young people in their 20s or whatever. And it's like, wow. Talking about heart issues. I mean, this kind of stuff. When I grew up, heart issues were for really, really, really old people. Yeah. You would hear someone in their 60s and 70s, 80s, they would have heart issues, or they'd had to take certain medication because they're at risk. Not a 20-year-old. So It's like, what is happening out there that we're not hearing about? Conspiracy theories arise, assemble. I know I started something with that, but I mean, it's something's going on there. But those kind of concerns are a big deal, and what it ends up translating into, in my humble opinion, is a decline in parents wanting their children to play the said sport. And we hear that about this from parents and stuff. I mean, I think it was more than I grabbed the stat. It's more than 350 high schools that dropped football from their programs. I mean, that sounds like a big number to you, because how many high schools do we have in America? Probably more than I can count right now. Probably in maybe even 5 digits, if not more than
sure.
that.
Yeah,
and 350 high schools dropped football. I mean, to me, even though the percentage might not be a big deal to people who are crunching numbers like that in data crunchers, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of schools to drop football completely from your program.
That's a lot of schools. But do we know why they dropped it? I mean, because some of them end up dropping it just for funding alone, because football is an expensive one to run.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see why they were dropping it. But that is a lot of students not playing ball now.
Yeah, I mean, all we can do really is look at what was written and everything. I don't have any deep evidence, but safety seemed to be the theme throughout most of the stuff that I read and looked up. So they took me. Funding was something I saw in maybe one or two articles, but it wasn't. It was just safety. So that parents don't feel this child's going to be safe playing the game, and then they hear also this going on even in the college professional realm. People getting injured and even having health impacts after that. Yeah. So I mean, there's been, for a game that's so insanely popular, I think they had like a 48% decline over the past 12 years. I mean, you might not notice that because like all we're sitting here doing is waiting for football to come back so we can watch it again, like I did with the Hall of Fame game. So it's like you may not realize that there's actually a decline, because it's like this. Say you have, it is what it is. Football is probably the most popular sport. Am I right about that? Are we in that realm? So
in the U.S. for sure.
If it declines a little bit, it's not going to move the needle for you, because you're not going to realize that something's changed, because it's been so hot, insanely popular. Even a small decline ain't going to do nothing, but it's still a decline. That means something is changing. There's a trend starting to happen. I mean, it's really hard to fathom what would happen if that was to continue, because if a parent doesn't allow their child to play intramural, then that translates to high school. Then of course that's less players in college.
Yep.
There's less players in the NFL then, right? So it's a trickle down effect to it. It's like there's less recruiting, and I don't know. I mean, you can't have helmets this big. I think that's not conducive. So I don't know what you're gonna do to make people feel safe about it, because this is a hard hitting sport. It was like that from the beginning. I don't know how far it even goes back. I mean, this is just gladiator sports type stuff. And it's like, I don't know how you can make it safer, but I don't know how you make it completely safe. So it's just, I see why people are upset about it, and why people are not feel about football. There's some parts of the sentiment that I'm not quite sure if it's just safety. That, I mean, on my Twitter page, it's like there's something else going on there. It's not just I don't think the guys are thinking that, you know what, NFL is not real anymore. It's all rigged and fixed. I don't think that's where they're going with this.
Yeah.
But it's like, so why don't you like it? I mean, has your love for sports changed at all, man? I mean, that's one of our poll questions. I might as well ask you, right? Has your love for sports changed at all? Why or why not?
And I mean, like it evolves, I guess, but I wouldn't say that it's changed. I mean,
you still love it the same.
Yeah, as you get older, you view things a little differently. So, like some of it is some of the safety things that I wouldn't have thought about when I was younger makes sense, right? But then there's some of them that you're starting to remove elements of the game. Like I really don't like that they're going to try out this, fair catch off the kickoff. So then it comes out to the 25, no matter where you catch it. It's like, I'm not a huge fan of that, because now you're starting to eliminate guys that are eligible for the Hall of Fame, like Darren Hester, which, was a game changer. Right. And
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, so you're starting to get a in complete phase of the game out of the game, right? You're starting to eliminate special teams, which we've all seen win or lose a game for teams, right? You end up with a Hester or a Leon Washington or a Dion or somebody that takes that kickback that changes the game. Percy Harvin. So it's, or I mean, even now, right? Budda Baker, he didn't come in and start, right? He came in as a special teams player, as a kickoff return coverage team, right? So I mean, you wouldn't even see Budda Baker today if he wasn't on that kick coverage, because he wasn't the starting guy yet. So it's it's unfortunate, and I think that's where some of the older crowd gets discouraged, because it's like, oh man, like you're legitimately removing a whole phase of the game, or at least moving in the direction to get rid of it. So I think that's where some of it is, people are like, this isn't the game I love anymore, kind of thing. Because some of the rule changes go a little bit too far. This one, they're only trying out for 1 year. So hopefully it doesn't stick.
It's been last year, no?
No. No, they tried it.
I feel like I saw that in.
Yeah, I think they did it in either the XFL or USFL last year. So they're going to try it out in the NFL this year. I didn't watch enough of either of those when I was down in Mexico. You couldn't get them. So
I watched a lot.
Yeah.
Not a badge of honor.
Yeah, no, unfortunately down there just wasn't the TV coverage for it. I guess the coverage, the TV contracts for both of those aren't international. So you would have had to have found a bar that had a US stream to be able to see it. So I couldn't find one consistently. I watched a couple of games and that was it. But that rule came from one of those two, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm thrilled about that for a reason that we're going to talk about when we talk about Devin Hester and coming back to that in a little bit. But I mean, like I said, the sentiment that I'm hearing a lot is, I mean, I hate to call them the older generation, but I mean they are. But I don't want to pigeonhole them, because I've seen some folks that was in their 30s that kind of feel the same way about it for different reasons.
I feel the same way about it. I'm 40 or 42, whatever. But
yeah, I mean, something's definitely changing there. And I mean, there's some people who easily they can say, you know what, football was abolished. I even asked a question on Twitter several times. If it was just gone, would it affect your lifestyle in any way? Would it change anything for you? And and most of them would say no. I would just go out and go fishing, or they would say something like go to the bar or they would sit home and have a beer and watch a different sport. I heard all kind of answers, some very interesting stuff. But what does a Saturday or Sunday look like without football for you? I asked it to all those that are listening to. What's a Saturday or Sunday look like for you without football in it?
Well, I mean, I guess it would change a lot because I'm prepping for a football show. So yeah, a lot of things would change. I'd, my topic of conversation on screen would obviously have to change. Although in that scenario, it would probably free my weekend up. Because I don't.
You're a social guy, so that makes sense.
Well, and I don't actively watch the other sports like I do football, right? Like I enjoy baseball. I like to go to a game or whatever, but it's a slower moving game, so you don't necessarily have to be sitting on the edge of your seat watching every play. And then I just don't get down with soccer. It's not my jam. The falling and crying, it's not my thing.
The falling and crying. Oh my God.
Games with flopping. It's one of the things that bothers me about where basketball has gone is, there's the flopping.
That's falling and crying.
Yeah, right. He looked at me wrong. My ear hurts. Like it's just come on. So I don't watch the other sports with the same intensity that I do football. I'm just seeing if we got soccer fans up this early.
I don't know. I've been trying to learn a little bit about the sport, making some posts on Twitter, just trying to learn a little bit about it. But I haven't been able to sit there and watch a whole game. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
For me, Saturday and Sunday, I mean, I think we're social people, my wife and I, but I don't know if we're social that you and your wife are. But Saturday and Sunday for us, without football, I'll be honest with you. For me, my wife probably wouldn't care less one way or the other, but for me, it's gonna be a little bit weird.
Sure.
So I mean, some people could say easily, oh, no big deal, easy. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit weird for me. If we couldn't, we got football season coming up, that. Well, people may not know, but when the season starts up, we're talking heavy NFL. A lot of the time. Matter of fact, most every Monday is going to be talking about football. It's guaranteed to happen. It's going to be an entire 16, 17 weeks of it. So just buckle in. It's going to happen, And it's like no football on a Saturday or Sunday. That means no college. I mean, no Michigan Wolverines, no Ohio State Buckeyes, no nothing. That's going to be weird for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I love baseball. It was my first love, but things change over time. You start growing closer to other sports and stuff. And in basketball, especially the 90s, you know how I feel about that. Mm-hmm. I'll fight you about that particular topic. That's the best era in basketball, hands down. Ain't been better before that, ain't been better since. Yep. But not having that, it's like, wow. I don't know what kind of world that would look like without having football. I don't want to see anybody get their heads cracked and whatnot on the ground, paralyzed, having heart attacks. I don't want that at all.
For sure.
It's weird to not have football. Yes, that's just me now.
Some folks and there's also just the other elements of it where, not only would it change, watching the games and, talking about it, whatever, but it also would change some other social interactions where you're playing fantasy with friends. There's a bunch of draft parties that are starting to happen right now, right? All of that wouldn't be a thing. So I mean, it's
the wing spot won't be the same. The wing spot's not going to be the same without football. I don't know. You can put some soccer on if you want to and try it. Put on some MLB, but the wings, I don't know. There's a vibe that goes with it, man. Mm-hmm. I've been in wing spots. I don't know how many years of my life. I've done this. I got to go less now than I ever have before, to be honest, but it's different. There's no football on the TV. It's like, they have golf. I'm like, that's not it. They have golf and have a sport I can't remember.
You can watch some pro bowling. You can watch some pro cornhole.
I seen that in there too, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And guess what? It wasn't working, brother. Football, football galvanizes everybody. I don't know. It's something different about it. Excuse me. So not having it on a Saturday and Sunday is extremely strange. Let's go ahead and move on to the Hall of Fame discussion. Not the game. I think we already passed that. I watched 4 quarters. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was still ill and having medicine. This was a medicine. When we watched 4 games.
I figured you just dropped the remote or something.
Yeah, I couldn't reach it. I was too ill. Oh, I had to watch Aaron Rodgers stand on the sidelines and Zach Wilson throw footballs. All right, so the snubs. We are gonna talk about it last week, but we had so much fun last week. We kind of forgot about it. Couldn't get back to it. All right, so the snubs. Mentioned Devin Hester. I want to definitely talk about that. I mean, wow. I know that anytime you have an all-star vote, I don't care what it is. I don't care what sport it is. It can be Major League Baseball. Happens every single time, like clockwork. NBA, same situation. Even NHL has the same situations. Somebody always get left out in your mind that should not be. But this one,
oh man, Hester.
I got a few that I like a lot. I got a few names that I got 3 names specifically that I like that I might mention today. Maybe you don't agree with it or not, but we'll find out today. But the first one, Devin Hester. 20 kick and punt return touchdowns, 3-time All-Pro. Basically the best at his position. Let's be honest about it. How was his name not? I even went in. Hold on. I even went in even deeper to find out. There's a app in the app. Sorry, a website that shows the actual voting, the tallies, and how they got to that number. And Devin Hester was like, he wasn't even in the overall 6th or 7th, I think, of the number. Like, how is his number not higher?
That's crazy.
He's the best at his position. I didn't understand it.
He was part of the NFL top 100 team. That means he's one of the top 100 athletes to ever play ball. And he's not in there. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
He not get enough votes for this.
Plus, he was part of 2 all-decade teams, the 2000s and 2010. So, like,
I know.
I mean, man, and he changed the game. When you watched a team line up to kick the ball, they were trying to kick away from Hester, right? Like, nobody wanted to kick the ball into Devin Hester's hands because you knew he could absolutely take it to the house at any time. So the fact that he didn't get in that seemed insane to me.
I don't understand how. I mean, I saw the numbers and the tallies. I'm like, I saw a lot of names ahead of his. I won't call them out. I want to disparage their names and everything, but some of them got in, and I'm like, how are they high? I mean, some of them didn't get in, and they were still higher than Devin Hester. I don't understand.
Yep.
And then we go on. If you want to add a few more names, I have a few names to add. I don't know. None of them. I named Devin Hester first because none of them. I'm getting rid of the name. Should get in before Devin Hester, but there was still some I thought would get in before the guys that actually got it, like a Darren Woodson, for example, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time Pro Bowler. I mean, those things alone are what people are getting in the Hall of Fame off of,
for sure.
And he's still. I mean, I don't know how long he's been on the ballot, but I'm sure it's probably been a while. Jared Allen, 136 sacks. It's like 12th ever, I think. 4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 7 seasons with double-digit sacks. I mean, I don't think that people are doing that right now.
Not at all. Well, that's like I was really
they're not having 7 seasons of double-digit sacks. That's not what's happening. So this is rare.
Absolutely. No, I was really surprised Reggie Wayne didn't get in either. Right, 6 Pro Bowls.
I didn't even see his name in that.
Yeah, so he doesn't get in. 6-time Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champ. 8,000-yard seasons. I mean, he's second on just about all of their lists, behind Marvin Harrison, right? But he's one of only 3 guys with 14,000 career yards that isn't in the Hall of Fame. Like,
how long has he been on the ballot?
I think this was his first year. But Steve Smith Sr. isn't in there. He also has 14,000 yards. And I think this is his 4th.
his numbers were low. I'm talking about like they had his name grayed out. That's how low it was in the Steve Smith. Wow. Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
Probably one of the, I mean, in my mind, in my humble opinion, I thought that I wasn't a fan of the 49ers per se. I was just a fan of football. But not, arguably the best linebacker I ever seen, not named Ray Lewis. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Not we ain't talking about LT and those guys are just they're special to me. You know what I'm saying? But he was probably one of the best in the game at defense against passes, stuff that people are not really doing. That's what should make you stand out and be, nobody beats Devin Hester in this conversation so far, but it's just very strange that some of these names are getting snubbed. It's like I'm missing what the criteria is, because they recognize how many times you win All Pro. You hear it when they do the announcements and they give up their stats. How many times they win All Pro, Super Bowl. I think sometimes play a part too. How many times they went to the Pro Bowl, if you really care about that. But that's what they tout. How many seasons they had a specific stat that nobody's done, whether it be like double-digit stats with Jared Allen or with Devin Hester did with punt and kick return touchdowns. Those are the things that we say are the statistic, the measuring stick, the barometer, but it doesn't apply to
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a voting game, right? So I mean,
I know
that's the thing that just seems extra crazy to me. It's like how are some of the biggest things coming down to votes and not just what you actually produced, right? Because I mean, there's guys that haven't gotten in that their numbers are amazing. They should be in. And then there's guys that get in and you're just like, man, like, wow, okay, you got in.
Yeah. Well, I actually pick one person that you felt, that did get in. What you loved about him, what you got. I'll go ahead and start off and kind of give you a little time to think about it. But I picked Rondé Barber.
Yep.
Started in '97, ended his career in 2012. He went 3 years without getting in. He was eligible, I think, 2019 or 20, something like that. The biggest thing I remember from his career, I mean, I saw, because he was Tiki's twin brother, so I was always watching, because Tiki was on our team and he was a big deal, so I paid attention to that kind of stuff. But he was most known for 82-yard pick six against the Eagles to go to Super Bowl 37 in the NFC Championship game. That was probably the most notable highlight of his career. But I mean, his numbers are stellar, man. 88 tackles for loss, 47 interceptions, 28 sacks. This is as a DB.
Yep.
And 5 seasons with 90 tackles. I mean, they had to make some changes just because he was on the field. I mean, he was, I guess, what they call the epitome of a nickel corner.
Yep.
Covered running backs in the past game, covered slot receivers. That kind of stuff, you don't see that very, very often. I think he was only player in history that had 40 interceptions and 25 sacks too. I mean, when you hear the words "only player that had," that's what I think about. Like, okay, this is the reason why somebody should have really, really high votes going into the Hall of Fame. It shouldn't take them 4, 5, 6 years to get in. When you have stuff like that, he definitely stood out. I mean, he was only one of 2 players since the turn of the millennium. The other guy was Charles Woodson. I'm saying, that have more than 1,000 tackles.
Yep.
And 40 interceptions. Nobody else is doing that and has done it. So he definitely deserved to be in, man. I love watching him play, man. What a gamer, man. I mean, in this case, size really did not matter, man. He was incredible, man. Him and his brother were really talented. Those guys did a lot for the game. So Rondé definitely deserved to get in. No question. Who'd you have that you were thinking about?
Absolutely. For me, Darrelle Revis. Absolutely made sense that he got in. He's a 4-time all-pro. I mean, when you are a lockdown corner enough that they call you Revis Island, right? I mean, that's a telling, nickname right there. 95 passes defensed over the first 5 years. It's most all time. He was the runner-up to Defensive Player of the Year, only to Charles Woodson, who was an absolute stud. So that makes sense.
Come on, baby.
He in 2009 he had 31 pass defenses, which is the third most in a single season, right? So I mean, there's a lot of things that he's kind of first. So I mean, it made sense that he got in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now the Zach Thomas's name came up. I mean, he's about our height, I think. only 3 linebackers under 6 feet in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, okay, so I ain't gonna pick it apart, but I'm just trying to figure out how they came up with some of this. I mean, because I'm sure he got some numbers, but like better than Devin Hess's though.
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah, the Hester one. The
I remember Jack. Don't get me wrong. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Joe Thomas is. I would argue more for him than
sure.
Zach Thomas. I just can't do it, man. Devin, how long is Devin Hester going to have to wait? How many linebackers and DBs going to go ahead of him before he gets into this Hall of Fame? I don't understand.
Yeah, that one was just nuts. I was like, there's no way he doesn't make it in. As soon as he was eligible, I was like, oh, he's got to get in. So the fact that he didn't, and then, you said you saw the numbers on the grading, so that's even worse, right? Like, I was thinking, maybe he just missed it, but like, if he wasn't hardly on the sheet, like, that's rough.
He didn't just miss it. Devin, he was like 6 or 7 somewhere in that. He didn't just miss it. It was no.
That makes no sense. That makes sense.
To tell you the truth, when I looked at this ballot, and I wish I remember the name of the place. I don't. Actually, now I'm glad I don't even recall it. I don't want to quote their name on their show. But there was they had like the columns, and they show you the amount of numbers, the votes, and then the player's name next to it. And they had players who had a higher number next to Patrick. There was more numbers next to Patrick Willis's name than DeMarcus Ware's name, but Ware got in. So I'm not understanding how the whole thing works. I mean, I'm looking at the pattern and had a little asterisk next to those people who got elected in, like Rondé Barber, Zach Thomas, Darrell Reeves, got DeMarcus Ware asterisk next to their name. But Patrick Willis had more number next to his name than DeMarcus Ware's, but he didn't get in. So I can go back to my history and find it, because I know I looked at it, but wow.
Yeah, definitely send that to me. I want to check that out. That seems crazy.
That's weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, admittedly, but I'm thinking that higher numbers means you get in. That's how I look at it. I'm just doing simple math. I'm a simple person. That's what I'm getting from that. But so I don't know what we learned from that, but we had fun talking about it. It's all good. Oh man, we always talked about Zach Wilson already, so I'm going to mention that part. I know he has a 5th-year option in 2025, so he's going to be there probably about the same amount of time that Aaron Rodgers is going to be there.
Yep,
maybe a little bit longer. So they have to decide, almost like how they did with Jordan Love. It's almost identical, as a matter of fact. I think correction. I think Aaron Rodgers, I thought he had 2 years. I heard something about 3 years recently.
Yeah. So his contract has 2 years of guaranteed money, but there's a 3rd-year option on it.
That's what I thought I heard. Okay. Yeah. So that changes what I was going to say. So that means that because Zach Wilson, his the option, I doubt it's a play option. So it's a 5th-year option in 2025. So that's going to coincide with that option year for Aaron Rodgers. They got big decisions to make there, but we already discussed that. A little bit of the your thoughts about the Michigan head coach situation with the 4-game suspension. What do you think about that?
I mean, so I haven't looked real far into it. So you'll have to let me know what all recruiting stuff he was in trouble for. But I mean, it's college football. Like that's that. It seems like they're always a coach.
I'm not really sure myself. I brought it up as a cry for help, basically.
Oh,
I don't have any insight to bring to the table. I'm like, I don't understand why is this happening?
I mean, it seems like they're bad. Years.
What did he do? What did he do that's never been done? What's he done?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like it's college football, so recruiting practices are kind of shady. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
and he's not doing anything different than anyone else was. I mean, at the end of the day, sure he got caught, I guess, but I mean, I don't know. That's one of those. It feels like every 2-3 years there's some coach getting suspended for some sort of recruiting problem. But
I mean, we're getting 5-star recruits, then it might make more sense to me. But we're not getting those. So what's the advantage that you think we have?
Yeah,
I mean, 5-star recruits like everybody else is. We're getting 3 and 4-star recruits. I mean, we're making something out of it. I mean, we made a lot out of those 4-star recruits. Credit to Harbaugh and the system.
I mean, at the end of the day, having the coach
unfair advantage that people think we have. I'm missing it.
At the end of the day, having the coach miss it's 4 games, isn't going to matter. I mean,
I know, but it's kind of just the principle at this point. That's like
for sure. But I mean, you would hope his support staff is good enough to be able to carry 4 games till he gets back.
If they're not, we're in big trouble.
I mean, yes.
I like to believe that we can handle that as well.
You should be able to. You should be able to.
Let's talk a little bit of Big Ten. I know that's something that we were talking about, Big 10 and Big 12. Something that we were talking about a little bit over the break. But, well, Oregon and Washington seem to be coming in. My Twitter page has exploded over this topic. To say the least, people are crying foul. I'm hearing people are sending me memes of graveyard with the Big 12.
12. Yep.
I'm like, what is going on? So
I mean, it's sad because they've ran a successful conference into the ground, and it's unfortunate. I wrote an article about it the other day, actually.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
But so you kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? So UCLA and USC were pulling out. They were headed to the Big Ten, and then two schools isn't going to sink a conference for sure. And then Colorado was going to leave, which on the stat sheet doesn't matter, right? Colorado's been bad for a long time. They went 1-11 last year. It's not like they're a juggernaut within the conference. But
you would think so, right?
But when they brought in Dion is such a electric piece that would have helped that conference's TV contracts, right? Because people are going to tune in to watch Dion no matter what school he's at. So for him to last week announce, or week before, I guess now, we're headed back to the Big 12, right? Which is where Colorado started. Well, that took a huge hit to potential TV contracts. Apple was supposed to be the front runner on that, but it was still only going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 million for each school, whereas the rest of the contracts for the other Power 5 conferences is somewhere between 50 and 65 million for the schools. So there's a huge disparity between the two. And that's where, the commissioner for the Pac-12 didn't really like that offer. The problem is their TV contract was coming to an end. So it's hard to entice the schools to stay when the one offer you do have is less than half of the other conferences, and you actually don't even have that locked down, right? So they end up on a conference call last week, and obviously the things in that conference call didn't go super well. It sounded like it was a short call, and shortly thereafter, Oregon and Washington said deuces, and they are also headed to the Big Ten. And it sounds like Arizona State, and Utah will go to the Big 12. Those deals should be happening, I think, this week. So there's only going to be 4 schools left in the Pac-12, which makes me think they're either going to have to combine.
And who are they now?
What's that?
What schools are those now?
So you're going to have Wazoo. You're going to have Oregon State, Stanford and UC Berkeley, I think, is the fourth school. So not exactly big time football schools. Wazoo has had some good the Cougs have had some good teams through the years, and Oregon State is actually building a nice program. Like, they're actually going to be a pretty competitive school this year. But even if they were to merge with like the Mountain West, that makes Boise State your flagship football school. That probably doesn't fall in the Power 5 conference rankings either. So I would imagine that schools like, WSU and Oregon State, I could see them going to other conferences as well, just because they have good enough football programs that you want to have the option to be in that national title conversation. And if your best game of the season is going to be out of conference games, even if you go undefeated, you're going to have a hard time breaking into that top 10.
Yeah, man. And somebody sent me a message, I think it was a couple of days ago, saying this is all USC's fault. I'm like, it is. I want to ask you about that before we got on the air, but since we're already here.
No, I mean, it's
not, is it USC's fault? What they do? What's their part in this? Did they start this ball rolling? What happened?
No, I would say the fact that they didn't lock down their TV contract, which is what pays these schools insane amount of money, is really what happened. I would say there was failure at the top levels of the Pac-12 that really got this rolling. And, USC and UCLA announcing to leave isn't, like I said, what wasn't going to tank.
And where are you going again? Where USC? USC, they come into Big Ten too, right?
Yeah, they're going to Big Ten. Yeah.
Wow. The Big Ten is going to be really big.
Yeah, they should have 18 schools after they get there. After Washington and Oregon get there. So that, it'll be a total of 18 schools. So what's kind of a bummer about that is, if you are a Washington football fan, right? They have the Apple Cup every year, and just about every state has their, University of Washington versus Washington State University, right? Like they all have, whether it's Iowa State, right? Like, it's usually their crosstown rival school, last game of the season, whatever. And now they're going to be in separate conferences, and they're going to be in a conference with 18 schools. So there may not even be room on the schedule anymore for a traditional game that they've played 114 times. So, it's there's some change coming for, the schools that were in the Pac-12, and there's some traditions that are going to change, but that's life, right?
So what happens to the to the conference as a whole? I mean, I haven't read anything. It's just been kind of out of pocket a little bit. But what happened? There's only 4 teams in there. What do they have the ability to do? Have you ever seen a conference run with just 4 teams in it?
So there's no way. I mean, Notre Dame runs on their own, right? So I mean, I don't
know what Notre Dame is doing.
Yeah, Notre Dame does Notre Dame things. That's all they do. They just do whatever they're going to do. But yeah, no, they wouldn't end up rolling with 4 schools. They do have like affiliate schools that they would probably bring in. There's always, again, the option of like bringing a couple of conferences like the Mountain West, if they could blend those together. So, I mean, there's options to keep it alive, or, they could disband the thing. That's entirely possible.
How is that a good thing?
It's not necessarily good, but not necessarily bad either. I mean,
okay.
You only have to place 4 schools, right? If you blend the 2, you're not really doing anything different, right? Whether you're blending the 2 and you keep the Pac-12 name isn't really any different than them going to another conference, because you're essentially in a new conference anyway. So you're playing all new schools and stuff for the most part.
But competition-wise, something's changed, wouldn't you say? They went ahead and merged with the Mountain West.
Yeah,
competitively.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is the Pac-12. Well, the Pac-12 used to be a Power 5, right? This will be the last year that is a Power 5 conference where there is good teams in it that are possible for a national championship, right? If they merge with the Mountain West, I mean, it's why San Diego State wanted to leave the Mountain West and come to the Pac-12, is because their football program is coming along and they wanted to have better competition to be able to get into these bowl games, potential, title type options. And so no matter how it plays out, whether the Pac-12 stays, and brings in teams, or the Mountain West merges or whatever, it's not going to have the competition that the Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC, like they're not going to have those Georgias, Ohio States, Michigans, and of course now you got Washington and Oregon there. I mean, it's just not going to be, you're not going to have the talent level from the other teams and the competition level to really have a true shot at that title game, because you're going to have teams, again, because college football is a voting system for the playoffs. You're going to have teams that may have a loss that would get in over an undefeated, WSU, because their only hard game on the schedule was Boise State and an out of conference game against, Michigan or, Georgia or something. So, I mean, okay. I didn't look at the schedule, so I don't know who their potential out of pocket, but
I haven't dug into either. I mean, SDSU, I wonder what even happened to them. I haven't been in a loop with the changes they made and everything. So just good to catch up on that. But I got a question about the Oregon part.
Yep.
Is there an impact when two rival teams kind of split up like that? One goes to a different conference and the other one stays where they are, which is what it sounds like Oregon State's going to do. Is there impact on the finances? Is there impact on the economy in Oregon? I mean, does anything change? Is it better?
Well, can you kind of break it down? So in this one's case, them changing conferences will bring more money in because the school's going to get more money, right? So that money's still going to come to Oregon. Them going to different conferences.
They can get more money now? Oregon State get more money now?
Yeah. So if I remember right, the Big 10 conference, it can be upwards of $65 million for each school, right, from the TV contract. So the thing is Washington and Oregon, it sounds like, what I was reading, is it sounds like they took a deal that is half of what the other schools are going to get, which is still more than what the TV contract that's on the table for the Pac-12 is. So even though they're going to get half of what the other schools are going to get, I think they're still going to get more than had they stayed. And I think that was really the deciding factor. Is there's so much uncertainty on where the Pac-12 was headed. They still hadn't secured the TV contract. The offer that was on the table, I believe, ends at the end of the school year, which is like a week or something like that, because of the summer quarter or whatever. And then, so like if you're somewhere where it's, say you're at work and you have an offer at a competing place, and you're not going to get top dollar from them, but it's still going to be more than what you're offered where you're at. And they're not entirely sure if they're going to be open next year. Where are you going to go? Of course you're going to leave. I mean, you can't have bad options and expect teams to stay. Like, that doesn't make sense.
So how'd that bowl for Oregon State? That's what I'm asking. So how'd that bowl for them? I mean, potentially they can get more money from the Pac-12 now because they're the only.
Well, no. So if you're a TV provider, are you even offering the Pac-12 anything? They have 4 schools. How much advertising are you going to sell?
I would not. That's what I'm asking.
No. That's why I say they're hanging out. There's a quote from I forget who it was at Washington State, but they were like, they put out a sound, a quote that was essentially, we're disappointed at how things went. And we're going to be looking at, the best options for our school, for our students, all of this, right? Which really alludes to the fact of, hey, if the Pac-12 can figure something out, maybe we'll stay. But we're also going to look at other options now, because if I was Apple and I was offering that Apple TV contract, I would be rescinding that offer at this point, because you don't have any schools. Like, what are we, what are we even doing? So, they're in a bad spot.
The offer's on the table too?
As far as I haven't read anything to the contrary. So as far as I know, it's still on there.
Why would you even offer that knowing it?
Well, I think there was just an expiration date of the contract. But I mean, at this point, I wouldn't offer anything until I saw what the Pac-12 did. Like, if they were going to merge with somebody, but I don't know why another conference would want to merge. What do you bring to the table?
The Big Ten just got bigger. So I know you're a Washington fan. So are you happy that they're in the Big Ten now and not where they were?
I mean, no. Like, I mean, so competition, like, that's cool. But like, I like the history of the Pac-12, right? Like, it started back in like 1915, right? And Washington, let's see, it's Washington, Oregon. I think it was both Washington and both Oregon teams. So Washington State, Oregon State, I think were the 4 charter schools that started it back in 1915. So there's a lot of history there. So it's sad to see that go in something that seems like it was very preventable. And yeah, so no, I'm not excited about it. I mean, obviously it's going to be good for, the school. They're going to have a little bit stiffer competition.
Okay.
The thing, I guess, that will be kind of good is you're starting to really see these conferences get more good schools together. So you're probably going to see less undefeated schools, right? Because they're not going to have teams that have 3 tough games on the schedule, and then, Temple and, Air Force and, stuff like that. Like, I mean, they're just not great schools. Like, at some point you don't want to see Temple get beat down by 65 points. Like, it's just, you want to see some better competition within their, conferences. So,
but the Big Ten added some good teams.
Exactly.
I don't know the whole list of everybody was at the 12, but the Big Ten added at least 4 really good teams. So competition is going to be a lot better. Hope that excites you a little bit, man. Sorry to hear about the nostalgic part and and your guys moving to a different conference. But I want to try to end the show on a high note. And what's up, Tino? Thanks for listening to the show, man, and linking in with us today. Appreciate you, brother. Let me go ahead and just end the show with a game. You know how we do, brother.
Yes, sir.
They're playing games on this show. All right. We can call this the NFL 3-way challenge. All right, you ready?
Sure.
3 questions. Give you some time to think about it. I'll put you on the spot all the time, man. It's what I do. I on your show, you're gonna do it to me too. I'm okay with it. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Best logo: Seahawks or Vikings?
Oh, Seahawks.
Of course, you said it, you homer. Chargers or Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Oh, Cowboys or Jaguars?
I mean, some of it might just be some, cowboy hate, but I like the Jags logo. I like the Jags logo.
Don't say that I did. Steelers or Packers?
Steelers.
Chiefs or Raiders?
Raiders.
Love it. Next question. Rank the best quarterback wide receiver duo in order. I'll give it to you all right now. Rank them in order. Hurts, AJ Brown, Allen, Diggs.
Sorry, say it again. I got some music happening.
Yeah, that's good music for the game.
Okay. I just didn't hear your didn't hear your question.
I hear music.
I was making sure I didn't hit my my soundboard. I was like,
no, that's your background music for the game. It's a new feature. Come on, give me the program.
All right. So what was your question again?
Rank the best quarterback wide receiver duo in order: Hurts, AJ Brown, Allen and Diggs, Lawrence and Ridley in Jacksonville, Cousins and JJ, and Burrow and Chase. Rank the best quarterback wide receiver duo in order. First, AJ Brown, Allen and Diggs, Lawrence and Ridley, Cousins and JJ, Burrow and Chase. Shout it out one more time.
Yeah, one more time.
Hurts and Brown, Hurts and AJ, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Kirk Cousins and Jefferson, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Let's see.
It ain't gonna be easy, brother, but take your time. We got time, brother. I'm doing it too, but it's not easy for me either.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough. Let's see.
That's what makes our games fun, man.
Yeah. So good.
Mine's is gonna shock you. Mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You are not gonna believe it.
You got Cousins up on top or something?
Oh no, boy! I ain't that crazy. You kidding me? No way. No way.
All right, I got you.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Let's go. 1 to 5.
All right.
5 to 1. 5 to 1.
5 to 1. So I got Cousins at 5. And then I got Hurts at 4.
Woo! Really?
I got Lawrence at 3.
Wow,
Allen at 2. Burrow at 1.
All right. Well, I got Cousins and JJ at 5. Allen and Diggs at 4, believe it or not.
Okay.
I like Lawrence. I like the youngsters, Lawrence and Ridley at 3. Hurts and AJ Brown at 2. They got more time together. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Hopefully not against us. And Burrow and Chase. All right. Last question. Rank the most surprising NFL 100 snubs. In order again. All right. So, ready?
Yep.
The most surprising NFL 100 snubs. All these guys were not included in the NFL top 100. Matthew Stafford, Andrew Thomas, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and your boy, DK Metcalf. Rank the snubs, the most egregious snubs in order. Well, 5 is the one that offends you the least, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Go for it. 5 to 1.
All right. So I had Stafford at 5. And coming off an injured year, you're not going to be in there typically. Thomas at 4. I got Kamara at 3, DK at 2, and then JT at 1.
I had Stafford at 4. I had Thomas at. I had Stafford at 5. Excuse me. I had Thomas at 4. That's my guy. He's a real giant, but doesn't rank with all the other guys.
Yep.
I had Metcalf at 3. I really was surprised by that one because he's not some bum. He's productive. He's a big part of the team, and he has production. He has numbers to go with it. You don't have him on your top 100.
Exactly.
Jonathan Taylor, you're the best player on your team, and
yeah, exactly.
He has the numbers and the credibility to go with it.
Yep.
And you don't have. Well, I had Kamara number one.
Okay.
I based that based on his entire career, everything.
Sure.
That
well,
should give you credibility. I mean,
but the top 100
Taylor down to 3. Huh?
But the top 100s every year, right? Like it changes.
Well,
so you can't really base it on the whole year, right? Like you got to kind of base it on last year.
The top. You still think he was a top 100 player even last year?
No, that's why I was
like. The top 100 right now.
That's why I
can't go in the top 100 and pull some names out right now. Seriously, I can't go in the top 100 right now and pull somebody's name out and put his in there, and it'll be legit. Of course, I can. I can do that easily.
Yeah, of course.
You can do it too.
Yeah, of course.
Kamara last year didn't suck.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Top 100.
I mean, everybody on this list except for Stafford easily could be in there. And I only don't think Stafford could because, I mean, he's injured. You don't really know. Like he wasn't a huge impact. So
no, not at all. But I'm kind of surprised by all of these because I saw the top 100 list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's some guys like some DBs and some line guys who like. I mean, they weren't bad, but
yeah,
to be in the top 100, you kind of almost had to be in the top 10 in your position, basically. If I'm just doing the math, how many positions do you have on the field? You got to be the top 10 at your top 10 in the O line or top 10 as a DB to be on this list.
Yep. You
telling me that these guys, Metcalf, Kamara, even, something's not right in the wash. Something's not right. But that's our show for today, man. Thank you for indulging me today. I was not 100%. You were more than 100, man. So I appreciate you so much, brother. Have fun with the game, man. And for all you guys that are listening and joining us, thank you again for tuning in, wherever you are and however you're listening to They Call Me Mr.Yu, the podcast. We thank you again. Excuse me. For making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you go change the world. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Twitter. Download, subscribe to Football Talk with Bo, and They Call Me Mr.Yu, the podcast, wherever you enjoy your podcast listening. Thank you again for joining us. Guess what? Love you guys. Have a great day.
Be sure to like and